The Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, excited to be here today at Caraway Speedway. We're just down the road from the Zoo City, Asheboro, North Carolina. Their motto, exactly where you want to be. Well, you know what? I think this is where we all want to be on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in Sophia, North Carolina. This racetrack, 2 drag strips with 2 corners. A very fast racetrack is Caraway Speedway with that banking of up to 14 degrees in the corner. This will be the second race of the year for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Carson Lofton, the 15-year-old kid, winning the first race of the season last Saturday in the Peanut Patch 99 at Florence Motor Speedway in Timminsville, South Carolina. 25 cars on hand here today. And if you've never seen a modified, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies. They need to watch today live on Flow Racing because these cars are rocket ships with wheels. No fenders on these things. Big old bumpers on the sides and on the front, and sometimes they certainly use them around tracks like Caraway Speedway. As we mentioned, excited to get this one kick-started here. A lot of big names in the starting lineup today. Some people from up north. Jimmy Blewett out of Howell, New Jersey will wheel the number 99 modified for Jamie Tomeno. Blake Barney in the 27 had a good run at Florence Speedway last week as well. Blake Barney hoping to contend for a championship here at the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. He is in the Gumley car, that number 27 machine. We got some big-time names as well. Daytona 500 winner Ryan Newman battling for a championship this year in the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. He will run the Shitty Coolers number 2. Yes, that's exactly how you pronounce it. You just need to clarify that. Okay, that is their name. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. The Myers boys, Jason Myers, and the defending series champion Burt Myers is here. And right now, all the cars assembling on pit road, getting ready for 2 laps of qualifying. Up for grabs will be the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award. Last week, Matt Hirschman, who is also with us, he's out of Northampton, Pennsylvania, a 9-time winner on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. He won the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award 1 week ago. Matt Hirschman, not exactly lightning quick in practice earlier today, hoping for a little bit better run during qualifying. Ironically, the kid, can't say the man, the kid that won last week at 15 years, 11 months, and 3 days down in Timminsville, South Carolina, Carson Lofton, with that victory there, also quickest in practice here today. He will be the final car out for qualifying at Caraway Speedway. Hopefully you watch this and you want to join us at some of the upcoming events for the Smart Modified Tour in just 2 weeks. It'll be the big one. The Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds presented by Dominion Energy. That's Saturday, March 23rd at South Boston Speedway in Virginia. Yes, the home of the Bologna Burger, but also rich in tradition with modified racing. And that's what you will see Saturday, March 23rd with the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds powered by Dominion Energy. These machines with their bright colors, 15-inch tires, and 600 horsepower underneath the hood. Always electric here at Caraway Speedway, no matter whether we're under the lights or under the beautiful sun that Mother Nature has granted us here today. First car out for qualifying here will be Tommy Buzzy. Beautiful blue and white. It's got metal flecks in that paint job as well. Tommy Buzzy, he will be qualifying first. His car did not register time during practice. They had a transponder issue, and therefore he will be the first car out for qualifying. Just moments away, Tommy Buzzy getting buckled in behind the wheel of that Units Moving and Storage Mark III Financial number 25. Buzzy loves this racetrack as well, has had some good runs here. In fact, ran this car back at the North-South Shootout last November and had a chance to win it in the waning moments of that race. Came up just a little bit short, but that kind of put the things in motion for this combination of Mike Smith, Andretti is what we call him, and Tommy Buzzy and that clan to kind of come together and work for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic Championship in 2024. We will be back here, the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, on July 6th with the revolutionary 99. That'll be a lot of fun once we get back to this high horsepower half mile of Caraway Speedway. Looks like we are just about ready to go. The team has moved away from that number 25. He will be the first car out for qualifying here at Caraway Speedway. So without further ado, the number 25 out of Maiden, North Carolina, and the Mark III Financial Units Moving and Storage Buzzy Racing race car. That's a Troyer machine owned by Mike Smith. It's Tommy Buzzy Jr. Buzzy a best third here back in 2018 in the old SMRS series. We mentioned that good run in the North-South Shootout. Hopefully has a good run during qualifying here. I will tell you, we are having some transponder issues, I should say scoring issues, up here with Race Monitor in the tower, so they are trying to figure that out right now. (16.667) lap one for Tommy Buzzy Jr. First car out to qualify. Next up, in the number 22 out of Advance, North Carolina, in the Carolina drilling machine for Totoro Racing. That's a Fury race car with an ECR engine underneath the hood. It's Jason Totoro. Totoro, a little bit under the weather this morning, climbed behind the wheel of this race car. Says, you know what, that made me feel a lot better. Hoping for a good run here today. We appreciate the support of Carolina Drilling for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic throughout the entire 2024 season. 16.926, 16.926 for Jason Totoro on his first lap. We'll see if he can do just a little bit better on this second lap. He's going to need to gain a bunch of time here. Can he get it done? 16.735 for Jason Totoro. That's second quick. Coming up next, he had a top 10 run here last year at this racetrack. He's out of Reedy Creek, North Carolina, in the number 21 machine. Carolina Drilling on the side of this race car as well for Totoro Racing. That's a Fury race car with that ECR engine powering that machine at this racetrack for Jimmy Wallace. Jimmy Wallace has been running here at Caraway Speedway for a long, long time. His best run back in 2021, where he scored a 5th place finish. Coming down to the white flag. They are working on the scoring, is what we are told. Race Monitor, we are told, is down right now. (16.675), the top time for Jimmy Wallace. Next car on the racetrack, the number 12 out of Louisville, North Carolina, in the Jerry Hunt Supercenters. Sievert Auto, AJP Transport, Mega Plumbing of the Carolinas, KevinSaysYes.com. That's a Mike Norman Motorsports Troyer machine for Cody Norman. Cody Norman the champion of the Carolina Crate Modified Series 2 years ago. Trying his hand at big-time modified racing, and he goes way up the racetrack, locked up those brakes, and it looks like he might have something wrong with the left front on that machine. He stops the car without hitting the wall down in turn number 4. A broken tie rod, we are being told, on the left front of that 31 machine. Cody paying tribute to Zach Brewer here today at Caraway Speedway. We lost Zach earlier this week, and the entire modified community definitely feeling for that family. Zach Brewer meant so much to the modified world, to the entire racing world, honestly. A competitor back in the old Goodies Dash series as well. He used to run the number 31 machine, and he used to work for Cody's dad, Mike Norman. And that's why Cody is sporting that number 31 on the side of his car here at Caraway today. Before that tie rod issue down in the corner 3 and 4, he was going to be coming around for his second lap. Cody Norman did get to P1 on the board with a 16.647. 16.647 for Cody Norman in the 31 prior to that mechanical mishap down in 3 and 4. Plenty of qualifying to go here. Everybody vying for the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award today for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. After qualifying, drivers in the top 8 will gather. The pole sitter will actually draw a pill out of a hat that'll have a number 4, 6, or 8. And that will determine how many drivers will redraw for the starting lineup towards the head of the field for today's Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. This is race number 2 on the season for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. And since 2000, Pace-O-Matic has assembled an incredibly talented team from top to bottom, built on the grounds of integrity, innovation, and compliance, all of which aligns perfectly with the world of motorsports. As an entertainment company that develops gaming software that players love to play, Pace-O-Matic is all about giving back to local communities, small businesses, and now motorsports. To learn more about their history, business, and charitable works, check out their social media outlets or visit their website at paceomatic.com. That's Pace-O-Matic, proud supporter of grassroots initiatives and proud presenting sponsor of the Smart Modified Tour. Just last week, we were down in South Carolina, Florence Motor Speedway. Carson Lofton grabbing the win down there. We mentioned 15 years, 11 months, and 3 days. He became the youngest winner in Smart Modified history. Burt Myers, the defending series champion, finished second and rounding out the podium. And a brand new ride this year out of South Bend, Indiana, former Daytona 500 winner Ryan Newman and the Randy Renfro prepared number 2 machine. Fourth place was Joey Coulter, former winner on the NASCAR Camping World, Craftsman Truck Series. Coulter in the 02 machine got a good-looking ride, that flat gray painted machine down in the infield. He was just outside of the top 10 today during practice. Luke Baldwin rounded out the top 5. Baldwin, one of those teenagers. The youth has certainly gone wild in the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, and he's in that Sadler Stanley Racing Machine, the number 7 VA this year, battling for the Racing Electronics Rookie of the Year award for the Smart Modified Tour. Baldwin comes from a lineage of a modified family. His granddad, Tiger Tom Baldwin, one of the best to ever sit behind the wheel of a modified in the Northeast for sure. a winner on Long Island, all over the country, Martinsville, you name it. Tiger Tom was truly a character and a darn good chauffeur of one of these beautiful modifieds. His son, Tommy Baldwin, was very famous. He crew chiefed many modifieds, including for that of Steve Park back in the day in a championship equation with Tony Hirschman. And now Tommy Baldwin, we all know him because he's a former Daytona 500 winning crew chief for Ward Burton. Still working in the NASCAR ranks, but also Tommy now a cancer survivor. We're really excited that he was able to overcome cancer this past winter, battled that out. But if anybody could, it certainly would be Tommy. He is tough as nails. And his two sons, certainly the apple didn't fall far from the tree, either from granddad or dad, because Luke Baldwin, a very good pilot of one of these modifieds. Top 5 last week at Florence, and winning at Florence was his brother in the Carolina Crate Modified Series, Jack Baldwin, a student at Appalachian State University. Slate Myers, you talk about another generation of the Myers family. Slate Myers also on hand with his Carolina Crate Modified here. That will do battle a little bit later on today. We thank you for watching Flow Racing for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic portion of today's show at Caraway Speedway. After the Smart Modified Tour Warrior 100 race, all the other divisions will be aired on, CarawaySpeedway.tv as well as Pit Row TV. Good-looking rides in the Smart Modified Tour. Gary Young Jr., new paint scheme on that black and orange number 45 here at Caraway Speedway. He debuted those colors last week at Florence. We need to get some hydraulic fluid in these chairs up in the booth here because they have a mind to their own. They're up or down. You never know which way they're going to go. But with the reason why we're under a caution during Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying is because Cody Norman, after his first lap, which was quickest so far here in qualifying, with a time of 16.647, looks like he might have had some broken front suspension, maybe a tie rod on the left front of that machine as he climbs out to the attention of his crew on pit road. We mentioned the passing of Zach Brewer this past week, and all of us feeling that here. And the Bell Helmet stage number 1 for today's Warrior 100 usually is at lap 30, but because he carried that 31 for so long, throughout his racing career, the conclusion of Bell Helmet stage number 1 during the Warrior 100 will come at the conclusion of lap 31. Back to qualifying we go. Now on the racetrack, one of the fan favorites in the number 4 out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, and the Carolina Drilling, Greg Butcher Trucking, QRC HVAC and Refrigeration, PSR machine owned by Gary Myers. It's the working man, Jason Myers. Fortunately, it looks like we have Race Monitor back in action, so we'll be able to bring you the times of all of these laps during Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying to you rather quickly. 16.800 for Jason Myers' first lap. For Jason Myers, not able to beat Cody Norman's first lap of a 16.647. But Myers loves Caraway Speedway, has been coming here for a long time, coming to the checkered flag right now for Jason Myers. 16.632. 16.632. Top time so far during qualifying for the working man, Jason Myers. Now on the racetrack, making his first start with the Smart Modified Tour of 2024. In the number 66 car, he's out of Danielville, Pennsylvania. In the LOI Kits Industrial Services Oil and Heating Machine for Austin Kotchnach. Austin, a 2-time winner with the Race of Champions Modified Series. That series, Pennsylvania, New York, many great racetracks. Kotchnach with a time of 16.838 on the first lap. 16.838 for the 66. He's got to beat a time of 16.632. Can he do it on his second lap? His second lap, second quick, 16.676. Very consistent times for the early qualifiers today here for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Now on the racetrack, this kid turned heads 1 week ago at Florence Motor Speedway in South Carolina. He is a road racing kid, running modifieds for the first time. In fact, the first time in a tour type modified came 1 week ago at Florence, and he scored a top 10 finish. Out of Northport, New York, in that 77 machine with Skip Barber Racing on the side. That's a PSR race car with Mike Curtis as the crew chief. It's Will Lambros. Lambros expects to run almost the entire schedule of the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. He has 2 conflicts with his IMSA schedule. He's a road racing kid, 20 years old, out of Long Island. And Lambros with a time of 16.835, first lap, 16.835. See if he can do just a little bit better. A former Legends competitor here at Caraway Speedway. Lambros goes to third quick. Scratch that. Lambros goes to the top of the board, 16.491, 16.491 for Will Lambros. Nice to see this car back with us after he missed the big dance, the season opener at Florence Motor Speedway 1 week ago. In the number 18 out of Lexington, North Carolina, and the Yates Grading and Paving PSR. That's a Yates spec engine underneath the hood for Daniel Yates. Yates has had some good runs here. A former top 10 finisher at Caraway Speedway, former winner at Bowman Gray Stadium as well. White flag out for Daniel Yates. First lap, 16.874 for the 18. You can see he's got his numbers on the rear quarter panels, a new design for Daniel Yates this year on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Coming down to the checkered flag. What can he do? Daniel Yates moves up to second quick. 16.627 for Daniel Yates out of Lexington, North Carolina. Now on the racetrack, one of the drivers, and I say one of the drivers, out of Connecticut. He's out of Newtown in the number 79 for David Hill and Hillbilly Motorsports. That is a Troyer race car with a Tony's race engine. It's Anthony Bello. Anthony Bello ran down at Smyrna Speed Weeks during the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. Turned in some good performances. Last year, he had a top 5 finish. White flag is out for Anthony Bello. Bello, fifth quick, 16.650 first lap. 2 times a winner of SK Modified competition at Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut, right outside of Hartford. Checkered flag, Anthony Bello to the top of the board. 16.329 for Bello in the 79. Nice run for Anthony Bello, who is still a senior in high school. He will graduate in June. Here comes the next driver on the racetrack in the number 45 out of Burlington, North Carolina. In the Ideal Comfort Heating and Air PSR Products, Gary Young Sr. owned machine for Gary Young Jr. Gary, a top 10 finish on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic last year. That car scooted up the track a little bit right in the center of the corner. He's got to get that turn just a little bit better. Struggled with some tire stagger last week at Florence, was outside the top 10. Gary Young Jr. first lap, 16.690 for Gary Young Jr. A former crate modified winner here at Caraway Speedway. Young right down there at the bottom of the racetrack, coming off the corner, trying to propel him to a good qualifying run. He moves up to third, 16.495 for Gary Young Jr. We have 277s here today in the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. The next one now on the racetrack for his qualifying run. That's the 77 out of Concord, North Carolina, formerly of Connecticut in the Curb Records Mohawk Stock Car Steel and Aluminum SRI Performance Sunoco Race Fuels Troyer machine for Gary Putnam. Gary Putnam, a long-time modified guy. Crew chief for the likes of Mike Magic Shoes McLaughlin back in the day. Carl and Charlie Pastriak at tracks like Thompson and Stafford Speedways in Connecticut. Gary Putnam, fourth quick first lap. Pretty good. 16.574 for Gary Putnam. Putnam going to want to pick it up just a little bit here. A former Tour Type Modified winner at Rougemont, North Carolina. Putnam's second quick, 16.437. 16.437 for Gary Putnam. Anthony Bello still with the top time. 16.329 is what everybody is aiming for. Checking out the racetrack right now, making sure it is clear for our next competitor to go out. Did not have the run that he wanted during the season opener last week at Florence Motor Speedway. Battled with the handling on this S&S racing ride. That's the 16 out of Oxford, North Carolina. In the Pace-O-Matic Aggressive Hydraulics race car, that's a PSR chassis for Jonathan Cash. Cash has run here at Caraway Speedway several times. Scored a top 10 finish in the Pro Cup Series. Remember that series back in 2008. Now adjusting to the high horsepower world of the mighty modifieds with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Cash coming around to complete his first lap. Still waiting for scoring to reset. Did not see a time pop up for him. He's got it right at the bottom of this racetrack. Let's see what he does on his second lap. And we have nothing up here in the tower. We'll try to get clarification momentarily here at Caraway Speedway. $16.544 for Jonathan Cash. Right now the time to beat 16.329. 16.329. Now on the racetrack. If you watch Florence Motor Speedway's race last week, you're not going to recognize this car because it's a completely new paint scheme for Jimmy Blewett out of Howell, New Jersey. Blewett so good here at Caraway in the North-South shootout. Blewett looking for a good run here. Race monitor is down again. Wesley, if we can count on you to give us some times here. Blewett now on the racetrack. Good looking ride this week for Jimmy Blewett. 16.460 for Jimmy Blewett. Blewett running that Jamie Tomeno owned car. That is a Troyer machine. Now on the racetrack. This guy, one of the best ever to grace the wheel of the cars that live by the grace of God and 600 horsepower. Out of Northampton, Pennsylvania, in the Smart Chevy Boykin Spaniel Rescue, Collier Trucking, Florida Connection, Long Island Mod Maniac, Hirschman Garage, and Speed Troyer. That's big money. Matt Hirschman in the 60. Coming a white flag for Matt Hirschman. Awaiting Matt Hirschman's first time. 16.269. 16.269. That is top of the heat for Matt Hirschman. 16.229. Number one on the board for big money, Matt Hirschman. We apologize for the delay in getting you the times. We're doing the best we can, shouting across the tower here because race monitor is down. Now on the racetrack, here's a former NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series winner in the 02 out of Miami Springs, Florida. In the Torch Eyewear Molecule Air Shock Drive Refine SRI Performance Bilstein Shocks Machine. That's a Fury race car he debuted last year for Joey Coulter. Coulter, a two-time winner, Smart Modified Tour competition, one of them coming here at Caraway. 16.715. He's going to need to pick it up just a little bit to try to crack into the top 8 to have a chance at the redraw. Coulter, admittedly, has struggled in qualifying. Checkered flag is out for the Florida driver. 16.477. 16.477. Much better second lap for Joey Coulter. Now on the racetrack, his teammate at Coulter Motorsports in the number 2 out of South Bend, Indiana. In the Shitty Coolers, Capital Automotive Group, Aggressive Hydraulics, Montrose Molders Corporation, PSR Machine out of South Bend, Indiana, the Daytona 500 winner, Ryan Newman. Gotta love the sponsor on the side of that race car. Ryan Newman, podium run last week at Florence. White flag is in the air for him. 16.413, 16.413 for Ryan Newman. Very good first lap. Time to beat 16.229. Coming off the corner, Newman on the mat. 16.381, 16.381 for Ryan Newman. By our calculations, looking half at Race Monitor and half of what we're writing down on our sheet, I believe that is third quick for Ryan Newman. This guy has a lot of history in modified racing, certainly up in the Northeast. He now drives the Gumley number 27 out of Jackson, New Jersey in the Amazing Graphics DMAC Pool Scott Car Engineering LFR for Blake Barney. His granddad, Dick Barney, owned modifieds for the likes of Tony Siscone, wins at Wall Stadium, New Jersey for so long. His dad, Robert Barney, continued that tradition, and now Blake Barney behind the wheel himself. 16.617, first lap for Blake Barney. Last week at Florence Motor Speedway, Barney was running in the top 10 for most of the race, finished in the 15th spot. 16.421, 16.421. That should put him in the top 5 so far here during Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying for the Smart Modified Tour. Next up on the racetrack will be one of the most successful drivers ever in modified racing at Caraway Speedway. 18 Tour-type modified wins for this next driver. He is out of Lexington, North Carolina. Beautiful red and white Shady Grady racing machine with L&R transmission, Steve's Tires and Automotive. Unique coatings on the side of that Troyer for Brian Lofton. 2 wins with the Smart Modified Tour here at this racetrack. Coming back in 2004. Remember, NASCAR took over Tour-type modified racing in 2005 in this area of the country. So Smart went away for a long time until 2020 when it came back, and that's when Lofton won again. Lofton always a threat for the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award. 16.575, first lap for Brian Lofton. Checkered flag has waved, awaiting the time. Second quick for Brian Lofton, 16.362 for Brian Lofton. Nice to have this next gentleman back with us. He missed the series opener 1 week ago in South Carolina. He's out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, in the A-Best forklift of Millbridge Viper graphics machine. That is a PSR race car for Johnny K, Johnny Keeveman. Always love bright colored race cars because you never miss them on the racetrack. Could be good for all of you, could be bad if he's involved in a mishap and might have caused it, because the officials will see it probably a little bit more. White flag in the air for Johnny K. 16.680 for Johnny K. First lap, got 1 more to go in 3 and 4. Johnny K going to try to get quick back to the gas here. Checkered flag is waving. A little slower on that second lap, so his first lap of a 16.680 will stand for Johnny Kievman. Another former winner here at Caraway Speedway is on the racetrack. A former winner in the UARA late model stock car world back in the day out of Statesville, North Carolina, and the Cherokee Unlimited All-American Roofing and Restoration Troyer, the 12 PA of Jake the Snake Crum. Jake Crum, a phenom in the late model stock car world, now transitioning to the high horsepower modified world last year. Ran with us on 4 different occasions. Good first lap for Jake Crum, 16.471. His wife also competing with us in the late model stock cars here today. Woohoo! 16.151. That's top of the board for Jake Crum. Impressive time. He beats Matt Hirschman. Will that time of 16.151 stand, though? That is the question. And now on the racetrack, last year's Warrior 100 winner at Caraway Speedway. A new ride for him here this year with that 04 for New Day Motorsports. Kevin says yes.com on the side of this one for Winston-Salem, North Carolina driver Brandon Ward. Ward, runner-up in the championship standings the past 2 seasons for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. 16.428, pretty good. The last time we had a 42, that was Jake Crum. He set fast time. Brandon Ward knows this racetrack like the back of his hand. Checkered flag is out. He's competed here in mods, Pro Cup, and a lot more. 16.346 should get him in the top 8. And then afterwards, the pole sitter will redraw a 4, a 6, or an 8. And by virtue of whatever is selected, that amount of drivers will redraw for their starting spot in tonight's Warrior 100. This guy is a fan favorite here in Southern Modified Racing. Driving the number 1 out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, and the Citrus Safe Grill Cleaners Peanut Patch Backyard Leisure Pool and Spas PSR. That number 1 for Bert the Ace Myers. Myers with a second place run last week at Florence. 16.486, good first lap for Myers. Myers won the Revolutionary 99 last year here at Caraway. 16.386 for Burt Myers. Good run for him. Definitely top 10 right now. Should put him in the top 8 with just a few cars left in qualifying. We apologize for not having the exact running order of qualifying right now, but at least we're able to give you the qualifying times. Wesley Outland across the tower here shouting out those qualifying times because Race Monitor is currently down. Now on the racetrack in the number 7 VA. Driver of the SNS Racing Pace-O-Matic Mohawk Northeast Willwood Brakes machine. That's a PSR race car for Luke Baldwin out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Baldwin 5th place 1 week ago at Florence. 16.525 first lap for the teenager. Baldwin got to pick it up a little bit here. And if anybody can, he is a hard-charging race car driver. Now to the checkered flag. 16.339 for Luke Baldwin. Good qualifying run for him. Top time during qualifying so far, a 16.151. We can tell you second place right now is a 16.229 for Matt Hirschman. Looks like right now, unofficially, Luke Baldwin is third quick. This driver was red hot at the end of last season, winning 2 out of the final 3 races for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. in the 18 V8 out of Corpus Christi, Texas. In the Cookout Coca-Cola units moving in storage, Pace-O-Matic car for S&S Racing. That's a PSR machine for Bobby Labonte, former NASCAR Cup Series champion and Hall of Famer. (16.451) Bobby Labonte, first lap. Want to say hello to Senator Stanley if he's watching here today. Checkered flag in the air. 16.212 for Bobby Labonte. That puts him second quick during Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying. 2 cars left in qualifying. The next driver has never won a Smart Modified Tour event, but he is a 16-time winner in NASCAR Modified competition at Bowman Gray Stadium in the number 24 machine out of Freehold, New Jersey. That's Amerifast Supply on the side of this Buddy Ellis number 24 for Danny Bone. Danny Bone, a third-generation race car driver. His granddad, Parker, famous from the Northeast. His dad, Eddie, a former Turkey Derby winner at Walt Stadium. Now let's see what Danny Bone can do here at this racetrack. Awaiting the time. 16.416 for the 2-time winner in Tour Type Modified competition at Caraway. Checkered flag in the air. Can that do any better for the number 24? 3.36, 16.336. A little bit better for Danny Bone. The final car to qualify, now on the racetrack. And it was an unbelievable scene in Pace-O-Matic Victory Lane 1 week ago. 15 years old, 11 months and 3 days to be exact. For this driver out of Lexington, North Carolina with L&R Transmissions, LeBlue Bottled Water, QMF Metal Fabrication for this PSR. It's Carson Lofton, the kid. Lofton, quickest in practice earlier today at Caraway Speedway. First lap for Carson Lofton. 16.400 for Carson Lofton. Does he have a shot? At the time set by Jake Crum, 16.151. Lofton to the line in qualifying. Second quick for Carson Lofton. 16.199. So a 16.151 for Jake Crum will get him the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award. Second quick, 16.191 for Carson Lofton. Pretty close during qualifying here for Carson Lofton and Jake Crum. A 151 to a 199. Now the top 8 will be making their way to the Hoosier Tire Truck. And that is where Jake Crum will select out of a bag chips that have a 4, a 6, and an 8 on it. Whatever he selects, that amount of drivers will redraw for their starting spot for the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. We hope you're enjoying the coverage. Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying now complete for the Smart Modified Tour. You're in the grandstands. We appreciate you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. If you're watching on Flow Racing, make sure you continue to do so throughout the entire season. Each and every one of the races for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic will be on Flow Racing. My producer, Matt Smith, alongside. We got a couple of cameras here today. It's a blustery day at Caraway Speedway. You can see the American flag and the state flag of North Carolina on the front stretch blowing pretty good here. After 25 cars qualified for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. We'll take a quick break here on Flow Racing and make sure we come back. We'll let you know what happens with the draw and then line up the starting field for today's Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway.
Thank you, Bob Dillner, again. Hey, listen, if you were one of the Pole Award winners for the late model stocks, the 602 mods, the Carolina Pro, or the Smart Modified Tour, we need you to be down at Victory Lane for a very quick pole award presentation, and then we're going into opening ceremonies. I know we're a little bit behind schedule. We were scheduled for a 2:30 green flag, but however, due to some problems in the qualifications, it pretty much put us a little bit behind schedule. So again, we do apologize on that, but we are working on getting caught back up. So we do need all of the pole award winners again. Tony Minetti in the 51. We need, of course, the pole winner, Jamie York, in the number 1. That's for the late model stocks for the Carolina Pro Late Models and the Smart Modified Tour. The pole award winners, pole award presentation down at the start-finish line, Victory Lane, presented by, of course, Sunoco Race Fuels, Hank Thomas Performance, Hoosier Racing Tire, and Daggett and Schuler Attorney at Law. A matter of fact, I think we're about ready to get it started with the pole award presentations and opening ceremonies and words from Alan Todd. Alan, down to you, sir.
Well, welcome everyone to Caraway Speedway for this afternoon's kickoff to the 59th racing season. I need the following drivers to make their way down here. 602 modified driver Tony Minetti. He's out of Proctorville, Ohio. He was your quick qualifier. Could come to us in the 602. Tony, come on up. Well, I talked to you earlier this afternoon. Did you expect to get the pole this evening?
Not at all, not today, no. I'm just was here to make laps and
We got a car that's going to be going around the racetrack, so we're going to try to get a quick interview with the man that is going to lead the field to the green for the Warrior 100 today at Caraway Speedway for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Bobby Labonte after the redraw. Drew Pill, number 1. You got some fans up there for a former late model stock car track champion here. Excited to see you on the pole. What about today's race? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's really obviously great to be here. I didn't get to run last weekend at Florence. Only going to run a handful of races, so excited about that. Excited to always be back here at Caraway. I don't want to go back how far I've been here, but anyway, so as far as today goes, I mean, we've had a pretty fast race car, and then don't feel as good as I'd like for it to. I think they changed the downforce package or something. It's just like it don't feel like it's quite in the racetrack, but all in all, I think if we can get it where it drives pretty good off the corner, we should be pretty fair today. But a lot of great competition, a lot of good drivers and cars, and it's gonna be tough to be able to win, but we'll give it our best shot.
Bobby Labonte in the number 1 today here for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. He will be on the pole. We're going to let Cody Norman take a couple laps so you can hear our next interview. But Cody Norman had a pretty good run on his first lap, actually wound up breaking a tie rod on the left front of that machine on his second lap. So they made those repairs. He is now on the racetrack trying to take a couple of laps, making sure that he's A-OK for today's feature event for the Warrior 100. But the man that won the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award today at Caraway Speedway, he's a former late model stock car winner here at this racetrack, Jake Crum. Jake, how about that? You're getting used to these modifieds, aren't you?
Yeah, they're for sure a lot more fun than the late model. I tell Annabelle all the time if she would ever drive one, she'd never drive one of those again. So,
what are you looking forward to in today's race? Obviously, you had a 6 redraw for the top 6 in qualifying. You selected 5th. What's the game plan from there?
to be honest with you, I really didn't even see that lap coming from where it did. But all in all, we'll take it. And I guess the only thing I'm looking for is just kind of keep all 4 tires on it. I mean, you can't race with 3 wheels around here. So keep all the tires on it, stay out of trouble, and just see where we pack up the end.
Hey, good to see you as well. I know you went through a little bout with health a couple weeks ago, but nice to see you back here and smiling here at Caraway.
Oh, yeah, always.
All right. Jay Crum will start 5th here today. We'll head back upstairs here, getting ready for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic Warrior 100 at Caraway.
Thank you, Bob. And again, the countdown clock getting closer to opening ceremonies as we await all of that to happen down trackside for the Warriors weekend of racing here at Caraway Speedway. We've got a plethora of talent on behalf of everybody at Flow Racing, Pit Road TV, and CarawaySpeedway.tv, along with Bob Dillner, Terry Radford. We've also got Sam Tully, Alan Todd. I'm Wesley Outland. We'll all be going throughout the afternoon, bringing you the action that will be the Warriors weekend of racing. By the way, a quick reminder, the events that were scheduled for yesterday have been rescheduled for next Sunday. So on St. Patrick's Day, come on out here to Caraway Speedway and join us. Racing includes the excitement of the Challengers, the Mod 4, U-Cars, the Bootleggers, and in addition to that, the INEX Legends and US Legends cars. That will be next Sunday afternoon, March 17th, right here at Caraway Speedway. And if that wasn't enough, another Sunday matinee on the card. That'll be on Sunday, March 24th, the scheduled Dogwood 200, the historic Spring Motorsports Classic here at Caraway Speedway, including late models, Chargers, and all the other divisions with a 2:30 start time. Again, that's upcoming the next 3 weeks, Caraway Speedway. Of course, CarawaySpeedway.com for more information. And, of course, CarawaySpeedway.tv, the first Saturday race of the year, the Easter Extravaganza. That's coming up on March the 30th. Alan Todd, I believe you've got Mr. Promoter Darren Hackett, Randy Myers down there trackside. And how about Darren? He'll be celebrating his 40th year in racetrack operations at Caraway Speedway in just a few moments.
You go ahead.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it comes down to this. Are you ready to rock and rumble? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this time I'd like to ask all of you to please stand up, remove your hats, We'll have our invocation followed by our national anthem. Miss Christine Montgomery will perform our national anthem. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today giving thanks for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Lord, there's families that's in need. Look over the family of Zach Brewer, and there's others that have health issues that need to be addressed. We give thanks for your son. We give thanks for each and every competitor and each and every human being that is in this facility today. We ask, Lord, that you will watch over all of these people, carry them both to and from the raceway, and bless them in every way. We give all the honor and glory to Jesus Christ, our personal Savior. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets like alarm, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say doth that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good job.
Well, it's getting ready for go time here. Alan, let's send it down there to you for a couple of words from Mr. Promoter Alan Todd down there with Darren Hackett. Race fans, how about a round of applause for Darren Hackett? 40th year promoting the Caraway Speedway, carrying on the legacy and the lineage of his father. Alan, back down to you.
Well, Darren, it's been 59 years since you guys came to this racetrack, and 49th year for you. What a record you guys have had.
Well, actually, it's 1977 when Dad come here. 1966, 59 years ago, Bub Moody built the facility, and Dad came here in 77, and we left at the end of the 81 season, and we come back in 84, and that's, you know, the work I done from 77 to 81 is probably just a kid in the way, but when I come back in 84, he gave me this set of keys that's in my pocket now and put me to work and told me to make sure his racetrack was ready on race day, and that's what we've been doing for the last 40 years.
Nothing at this racetrack that you haven't performed or done, is there?
I think I've done it all now, and you know, but I really want to thank the team. They've all worked hard. We've all worked hard the last few weeks, and it's been a tough winter to do this renovation and all. We're not finished, as you can see. We still like one more set of grandstand to go up, but you know, they all worked hard to get this thing dried out and all. We're going to run these modifieds off the bat first. We're getting started just a few minutes late. We've had a couple of incidents in practice and qualifying, but you know, you can't. It's hard to make everything happen on Sundays, but. You know, this is the 41st season opener I've been a part of, and it starts my 41st season, and you know, I'm just, you know, I guess I'm glad to live the dream, so to speak. You know, my grandpa, I love to farm, I love to race, and I love construction. My grandpa loved farming, and I guess I'm keeping his dream alive. And my dad loved this place, and I'm keeping his dream alive, and you know, and that. You know, somewhere on the line one day it'll all come to an end for me, but until then I'm still having fun, and that's what counts.
Well, I'll tell you what, Darren, you've had a lot of changes here, new stands put in. You've really updated and picked up the ball to carry to speak. I tell you, tell them about all these renovations that's been going on. It started several years ago, but man, well, you guys have really picked this place up and got it looking fantastic.
Well, it's not me, it's the team. You know, it's a team effort. It was a team effort all day long. You know, I'm just a guy, I guess, at the top that gets blamed for everything, and you know, that's fine too. You know, that's just. You know, we just try to keep everything going. That's all you can do, and you know, I'm just glad to see another season come by.
That's Darren Hackett. He is our Chief Operating Officer and co-owner of this facility. Darren Hackett. Ladies and gentlemen, race fans, let's give Darren a great big round of applause. Darren Hackett.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Pre-race ceremonies will continue just momentarily. But up here in the tower, we have a very special guest, Brandon Brown from the South Boston Speedway, and in a couple of weeks we're going to head to South Boston, the home of the Bologna Burger, for the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds, powered by Dominion Energy. A bunch of big announcements this week, and I see your social just really moving this event. How excited is everybody in South Boston for the King of the Modifieds?
I mean, we're so ridiculously excited to kick not only for the race itself, but what the Smart Tour has brought on board, the 20,000 to win, and for this to be our season opener and my season opener as the GM of South Boston Speedway too. I mean, we couldn't have thought of a better race. You know, the Modifieds put on such a great show at Sobo. To have you guys and then our Centera late models and our Hornets as well, man, it's going to be a heck of a show.
Yeah, I love the Hornets, by the way. I love the late models as well. Going to see if Sellers can get into victory lane there. He's an old buddy of mine. But in terms of the Modifieds,
Yeah.
I mean, what can we expect? Because it's going to be an action-packed day on Saturday, March 23rd.
It certainly is, and I mean, it's going to be a this big, huge one-day show. We're expecting 40 to 50 modifieds, the best of the North, the best of the South, coming in. That's why I'm here today. I mean, I'm here with my camera in my hand, getting content to be able to market the race, and to have this buzz going on for the Wheelands tour hasn't gotten in full swing yet. It's a perfect opportunity for the Northerns to come down and battle with these Smart Tour guys. It's going to be awesome.
And honestly, you look at South Boston, built back in the mid to late 50s, but you look at the rich tradition of modified racing. South Boston is one of those where you can drop a pin and say it's part of the epicenter, part of the world that is Southern modified racing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, and that's that's when we were talking with the Smart Tour about the potential of a big crown jewel race. That was part of the conversation. Is like, hey, let's start something big. Let's continue this great tradition at South Boston Speedway, and obviously this new crown jewel is gonna do that.
Hey, this last thing I want to know. This is your first full season
It is.
in charge at South Boston, and what a way to start. No pressure whatsoever.
None.
Okay, big modified race. Honestly, if you take a look at the purse structure, really only second to the Spring Sizzler, but right there neck and neck.
Sure.
And obviously, that race is unbelievable. But this is going to start a precedence as well. How pumped is the entire staff for this?
I mean, we couldn't be more excited, honestly, because this race is it's going to not only start our season, but it's going to start a great tradition at South Boston Speedway. We have all of the we have our 4th of July event, but this modified race is going to be an inaugural event that we're gonna build on for years to come, and obviously we're super pumped, super super intense right now at the track. 2 weeks from race day. With a new staff, we're in it right now.
Well, it's a beautiful facility. We can't wait to get there. Brandon, thank you for taking time on this Flow Racing broadcast, and we can't wait to get there for our next event, the King of the Modifieds.
We can't wait either. Get your tickets, southbostonspeedway.com /modifieds. Get all your information there, and advance tickets are $17, $20 on race day. Kids get in free.
Awesome. I can't wait for it. And of course, I always want to get a bologna burger when I go to South Boston Speedway. But the Modifieds twice there last year at South Boston Speedway in Virginia did a great job. Competitive races, and we can't wait to get back there with the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds, powered by Dominion Energy. Remember, that's Saturday, March 23rd. Go to the South Boston Speedway website and get your discounted advance race tickets for $17. We'll take a quick break here on Flow Racing and come back with the Warrior 100.
The Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic, mere moments away from getting ready to go here. their event. Then we will have the Carolina Pro Late Model Series 100 lap feature. Once the Carolina Pro Late Model feature finishes up for their 100 lap race, then the final race of the evening, the afternoon, will be the late model stock cars, now running under the NASCAR rules for 2024, something that's not been done in a while here at Caraway Speedway. I know that was some big announcements during the off season, was the returning of being under the NASCAR rule book. And again, 100 laps for these late models. You've got 340 exciting laps of racing on a Sunday afternoon here on March the 10th. By the way, it is windy outside, obviously a lot different than yesterday. It is sunny skies, high of 59 degrees, wind out of the northwest, northwest of 10 to 20 miles an hour, with winds up to 25 miles an hour. And obviously it's going to be a fun time as the drivers get on the racetrack and prepare to go. Over time, winners of the Smart 100. The guys lined up behind the cars in the first feature race of the year-long season at Caraway Speedway for the Power Winner Class. Mere moments away, race fans, from introducing the starting lineup as well as the command to fire the engines here in the Warriors 100. Race number 2 of the 2024 season for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. The Modifieds always put on a phenomenal show here at Caraway Speedway, and what a way, Bob Dillner, to have them as the lid lifter to open up the 59th season of racing here in Sophia, North Carolina.
We're excited about this one, Wesley, here on Flow Racing, and for everybody in the grandstands today, the Warrior 100 for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. We have 2 more cars heading to the front stretch, and then we'll have a special ceremony here trackside before we fire these engines and go through the starting lineup. Alan, as soon as we get these cars to cut off, we're going to head down to you, buddy. Today is the second race of the year for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. And everybody in the modified community has heavy hearts today. Earlier this week, we lost one of our own, Zach Brewer. Zach ran that old NASCAR Goodies Dash Series, Pro Cup, Modifieds. He was beloved by many. And today, we pay tribute to Zach at Caraway Speedway with his running of the Warrior 100. And to kick things off, we're going to head trackside to Allen for a special moment.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate each and every driver that drives in any race. And Zach Brewer was an example of a true racer. Here with me are his family members this afternoon. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Kim and Avery Brewer, and then we got Kathy Lee and Kylie Ward.
In honor of Zach Brewer, ladies and gentlemen, race fans, for the most famous words in all of motorsports,
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Well, thank you so much. Great to see the family here today. Racing has meant so much to the entire family. And today we will pay tribute to Zach Brewer with this running of the Warrior 100 with a special front row prior to the green flag. But right now, let's go through the starting lineup. Starting 26th here today, the Carolina drilling machine of Jason Tutterow, and to his inside, the number 48 of Florida driver Johnny Keevan. To that next row, starting 24th, he's out of Pennsylvania, a winner on the ROC modified circuit for Austin Kochnash. To his inside, in the 23rd starting spot, the number 21 for Carolina Drilling, teammate to Jason Tutterow, it's Jimmy Wallace, a top 10 finisher here 1 year ago at Caraway. Starting 22nd, and a potent modified for Mike Smith. And the units moving in storage, Mark III Financial, number 25 for Tommy Buzzy. And to his inside, a Carolina Crate Modified Series former champion, now trying his hand at Tour Type Modified Racing. In the number 31 today to honor his buddy Zach Brewer, it's Cody Norman. In the number 4 out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, it is a 39-time winner of NASCAR Modified competition at Bowman Gray Stadium, the working man, Jason Myers in the 4. Starting 19th here today, in the number 18Y, making his return to the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, it's Daniel Yates. Starting 18th here today in the SNS Racing Pace-O-Matic machine for the 16 of Jonathan Cash. And starting 17th, the number 45 of Gary Young Jr. As the cars sit and warm up here, they'll start to go around this racetrack. The 77 of Will Lambros will start 16th. Joey Coulter in that gray 02 will be 15th. Out of Howell, New Jersey, it's the number 99 with a new paint scheme this week for Jimmy Blewett. And starting lucky number 13, former modified winner at Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina, it's Gary Putnam. 12th will be the 27 of Blake Barney, going for the championship this year in the Smart Modified Tour. And the defending series champion to his inside, Burt Myers, will start 11th. Here's the top 10. Ryan Newman in the number 2 starts 10th. Brian Lofton, an 18-time winner here in Tour Type Modified competition, in the 15 will start 9th. And then the 04 of Brandon Ward will line up in that 8th spot. Luke Baldwin in the 7 VA will start 7th. Here's your top 6 after the redraw. Anthony Bello in the 79 will start 6th. The Pace-O-Matic Pole Award winner Jake Crum in the 12 will start 5th. 4th will be Matt Hirschman in the 60. 3rd will be last week's winner at Florence, Carson Lofton. And on the front row on the outside, it's the 24 out of New Jersey, Danny Bone. And on the pole, NASCAR Hall of Famer in the 18 VA, it's Bobby Labonte. But right now, something special at the front of this field. We lost Zach Brewer this week. His number was number 31 for so many years of his racing career. And today, Cody Norman is out in front of this field, as well as the 79 of Anthony Bello, the most recent car that Zach Brewer ran on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. The checkered flag waves for the car that Zach Brewer ran, that's 79, and the number that he carried for so long. Cody Norman, Zach Brewer and him were buddies. In fact, Zach worked for Cody's dad, Mike, for so many years. And today, both of those teams, Cody Norman and the Hillbilly Racing Ride, that's 79 of Anthony Bello, pay tribute to a great man, a great race car driver, and a good friend to so many, Zach Brewer. Want to remind everybody, if you're in the grandstands here today, there are buckets up against the catch fence. After the race, maybe drop $1 or $2 in there to help the family out. Kim and Avery are here today, and that is such a special sight for all of us because Zach Brewer and his family did so much for modified racing and racing throughout the South. Ladies and gentlemen, no other racetrack has had more smart modified tour powered by Pace-O-Matic races. So stand up right now. We want you to get ready to salute these drivers as they come by the front stretch as we get ready to go green next time by for the Warrior 100 here at Caraway Speedway. Look at these machines. They are simply a work of art. 600 horsepower underneath the hoods, 15-inch tires. These things fly around this racetrack. There is no other division of stock car racing faster than the mighty Modifieds. And you will see that today with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Bobby Labonte out of Corpus Christi, Texas on the pole. To his outside, New Jersey speedster Danny Bone. Folks, by the grace of God and 600 horsepower, here's the Warrior 100 at Caraway. Danny Bone, a two-time winner of Tour-Type Modified competition at Caraway, leaps out into the lead here of the Warrior 100. First lap complete at the start-finish line. Matt Hirschman squeezes into second in that smart Chevy number 60 for Big Money Matt. Bobby Labonte back to third, last week's winner. Carson Lofton in fourth, but he's under fire right now. Here comes Jake Crum, the Pace-O-Matic pole sitter, trying to get that spot and does early on in this race in that Cherokee number 12 PA. Jake Crum knows, oh, we got a big one down in the corner. Several cars involved. Brian Lofton in the 15. Last year's champion, Burt Myers in the Peanut Patch number 1. Gary Putnam in the 77. Jason Tutterow in the 22. Jimmy Blewett, he's got a left front down on that 99 machine. Luke Baldwin, who finished 5th last week in that Pace-O-Matic number 7 VA. And then one other car down there, I believe, is the black and orange machine for Gary Young Jr. So early on here in the Warrior 100, already under caution in this one. Luke Baldwin looks like he's going to be able to drive away from this. It appears as if there's none, if not maybe just limited damage on that Pace-O-Matic number 7. A left front tire down on both Jason Tutterow's machine and Jimmy Blewett as well. Gary Young Jr. down in the corner. His car, they're cleaning up some fluid on the racetrack, making sure that that car does not have a fire underneath the hood. Let's take a look at the replay on Flow Racing in terms of what happened in turn number 1, right around the defending series champion, Burt Myers. We're getting that queued up for you here. That was the aftermath of it, but we're going to take one more look at it. And it appears as though Luke Baldwin, want to definitely take a look at that one or two more times, maybe even slow-mo if we can do that. Matt Smith on the controls here for us. And it looks like there might have been some contact to the back of Luke Baldwin's car, but Luke might have been slowing down because before him, I believe that was Brandon Ward, kind of checked up a little bit. And it was Ryan Newman who made contact with Luke Baldwin down in the corner as they kind of got jacked up down there, just a victim of circumstances for everybody involved. Fortunately for Brian Lofton, he was able to spin that car out and really not have any damage. Might be a little damage to Burt Meyer's machine as Gary Putnam made slight contact with him. A couple of cars on pit road right now, among them Gary Putnam, who's had some success here at this racetrack. Putnam loves coming and running Caraway, basically the home of Southern Modified Racing. Putnam started in the Northeast as a crew member for a lot of great race car drivers, Carl and Charlie Pastriak, Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin, and so many more. His best finish here at Caraway, a 5th place run back in the old Coma Modified Series back in 2015. Jimmy Blewett in the 99 just rolled through the shot, as did Cody Norman and Luke Baldwin. Looks like a new left front tire on the 99 machine. And now Luke Baldwin is also on pit road. He is considered, honestly, even as a rookie, a championship contender for Sadler Stanley Racing. What a good run he had. He is a hard charger, too. So it's going to be fun watching Luke Baldwin. They might have to put a bit in his mouth to slow him down a little bit, because I'm sure he's going to be trying to charge to the front of this field. Right now led by Danny Bone in the AmeriFast number 24. Second is the PD Motorsports number 60 for Matt Hirschman. Third place is Bobby Labonte in that Cookout Coca-Cola Pace-O-Matic number 18 VA. Fourth place, Jake Crum, who set fast time in qualifying today. And fifth place, Carson Lofton, the young kid, just 15 years old. Some cleanup still down in turn number 1. We also see from our vantage point here, up in the tower, Gary Young Jr.'s machine. It looks like some bent up right front suspension on that race car. So a bad break. 2 weeks in a row for Gary Young Jr. He is dedicated to the craft of modified racing in the South. Was hoping for a better fortune here today than he experienced 1 week ago at Florence in South Carolina. Some impressive runs last week at Florence for that peanut patch number 99. And one of those cars that had a great run there, the number 77 machine. Crew chief on that is Mike Curtis, does a great job. But Will Lambros had never run a tour type modified event until last week. And he had a great run at Florence. We were so impressed. He was up into the top 5 at one point, wound up in the 8th spot at the conclusion of 99 laps. Lambros, a road racer, runs the IMSA GS series where he will run full time this year. He will miss 2 events on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, but said after Florence, he loves modified racing. He had run some SK Lights and one SK modified race for Keith Rocco, by the way. Those of you who are watching in the Northeast, everybody knows Kid Rock's name, Keith Rocco, one of the best in NASCAR modified competition in the Northeast. And Lambros now running this PSR chassis race car here with a good top 10 run last week. Now, the Citrus Safe Choose Cone is out, and drivers are choosing outside or inside here. Matt Hirschman chooses the outside groove. If anybody can make the outside work here at Caraway, it is certainly Matt Hirschman. 9 times a winner in smart modified competition throughout his career. Almost had another last week at Florence. Was leading until Carson Lofton passed him late in the race, then got involved in a mishap with another driver, wound up spinning out. Hirschman, big surprise. In fact, when my son looked at the results, he said, "What happened to Hirschman?" Hirschman finished 12th. Very uncharacteristic for that driver out of Northampton, Pennsylvania. 1 lap until we go back to green flag racing here at Caraway. It's Danny Bone and Matt Hirschman, 2 drivers from the Northeast on the front row for this restart. you got to have a feeling that several drivers a little bit further in the pack, especially after that melee, are going to be working their way through the field. Among them, Burt Myers in the 1, Citrus Safe on the side of his race car, as well as that Shady Grady Racing number 15 for Brian Lofton. Here we come, back to the green flag. They fire and race back into turn number 1, side by side around this racetrack. 0.455, the miles in length for this beautiful facility on a Sunday afternoon in the Tar Heel state of North Carolina. Bone back to the front, Hirschman second, Labonte third. And look at who's back in fourth. It's Carson Lofton. Jake Crum falling back to fifth. And then sixth place is Anthony Bello. Side by side for second. Hirschman on the outside. It's Labonte on the inside. Lots of experience right there in racing in the South. Labonte, the former champion here of the late model stock car awards back in 1987 at Caraway Speedway. He's got Hirschman hung on the outside. Labonte with the preferred groove, but Hirschman just so smooth off the corner with the throttle, able to get back and maybe almost taking that top spot. But you see that little wobble in turn number 1 certainly hurt the progress of Matt Hirschman. Great view by the drone, brought to you by Carolina Drilling and Citrus Safe Grill Cleaners. Labonte on the inside. Hirschman did this last week at Florence as well. Rode that outside groove, maybe trying something early to see if it works. Labonte closes up and fills that hole. Carson Lofton behind them, the 23, that 15-year-old kid, doesn't know which way to go just yet. Good battle for second between Labonte and Hirschman. Labonte backs out just a little bit, says maybe it's just a little too early to battle this hard. Let's ride, let's save those tires. And remember that these drivers have one tire at their disposal to take at any time during this race, during a pit stop. Single file pretty much throughout this field right now. And that's because everybody exuding some patience early on in this one. Danny Bone now with about a 2-car length lead over Matt Hirschman. Bottleneck, though, for that second spot with Labonte and Carson Lofton behind that. Jake Crum still holding down the 5th spot. We need a double box here because we got some battles starting to brew a little bit. We'll keep an eye on the front of that field, but the 0-4 of Brandon Ward starting to apply some pressure to Anthony Bello just outside the top 5. They were battling for the 6th spot, and Brandon Ward has been looking to go to the inside of Anthony Bello several times. Bello in that hillbilly racing ride, hoping for a good showing, was learning the Southern modified craft. Bello has run here at Caraway Speedway prior to today. He didn't have any experience at Florence last week, and that was a tough track to get a hold of. But that experience helping Anthony Bello just a little bit here today at this racetrack. Bello now applying some pressure to Jake Crum as well. There's the battle right there on the right side of your screen as we watch the top 3 on the left side. That's 79, bright colored car, orange and yellow and white, going after Jake Crum for the 5th spot, and Brandon Ward right behind that 79 in the 0-4, the gray car right there. Ryan Newman behind Ward. Newman with a 3rd place run in the Peanut Patch 99 last week in South Carolina. To say this one is melancholic at this stage of the game would be an understatement. I think everybody just trying to save their stuff. Look at Hirschman, that half a groove above the preferred line than anybody else on the racetrack. we are definitely remote here at Caraway Speedway, and we've been working with the timing and scoring, and you can see where your favorite driver is running on the ticker on the top portion of the screen on Flow Racing. I want to go a little bit further back now. If we look right around that 10th, 9th, 10th place, Blake Barney in the 27, the 02 of Joey Coulter, all of those right here looking for position and looking for one mistake for any competitor right in front of them. And Barney keeps on kind of going in a little bit high in that black and white number 27, and that's opening up the door for Joey Coulter to look to the inside just a little bit. There's some side-by-side action there as well. You see Brian Lofton, the 15, the 99 of Jimmy Blewett. Blewett knows he's running the first 3 races of the year, and then he will evaluate after that. But so good to see Showtime actually here today at this racetrack. He is a 7-time Turkey Derby winner at Wall Stadium in Belmar, New Jersey. A hard-nosed competitor. What a great racing family are the Blewetts. His brother, John, just so good. John Jr. for so long. John III, I apologize. His dad, champion at Islip and Riverhead, so good at New Egypt Speedway and so many others. But now Jimmy, winner in SK Modified competition, Tour Type Modifieds all over the place. And as we move a little bit further back, we see the 04 there. Now the 02 of Joey Coulter. We're trying to get you a picture of all of these modifieds on the racetrack. Coulter has been trying to pick off the spot on Blake Barney, but behind Coulter right now, if you look, there is also the 77 of Lambros. Don't worry, Danny Bone at the top of the heap, about 2-3 car lengths over Matt Hirschman, who's about a car length above Bobby Labonte. These are some of the best battles on the racetrack as people try to figure out where their car works best, and where Jimmy Blewett is working best is the outside. Showtime making a show of it in the Warrior 100. Jimmy, such a personable character out of Howell, New Jersey, now running for Jamie Tomeno. And the interesting thing, they were neighbors for years in Howell, New Jersey. And now Jimmy running for Jamie Tomeno, who's a former NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion. Here's Lofton and Jonathan Cash. Cash in the SNS Racing number 16. We're bouncing all over the place to show you the best battles on the racetrack. Lofton, 18 wins in Tour Type competition at Caraway, but remember, was involved in that opening laps crash down in turn number 1. So he's trying to come back to the front, as was Jimmy Blewett and Burt Myers. Jason Myers, Bert's brother, in that black number 4, having a tough go of it here today. We call him the working man. He works at UPS during the week and even a little bit on the weekends, but yet takes time to work on that race car each and every evening to get it ready for battle within the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Back up here, we see the 27, that black and white machine, trying to hold position on Joey Coulter. Coulter to the inside. They are battling for position within the top 10 here at Caraway Speedway. Coulter moves by, Lambros moves by. Now here comes Jimmy Blewett filling the hole as well. Burt Myers is there. Blake Barney losing several spots in that black and white number 27. Barney, one of those drivers out of New Jersey. So now in the back half of the top 10, oh, the caution now is out. That concludes at the end of 31 laps in honor of Zach Brewer. It concludes Bell Helmets segment number 1. So the top 3 as they stand, Danny Bone, Matt Hirschman, and Bobby Labonte will all be awarded a little extra cash, as well as some bonus points that go towards the championship equation throughout the season. So today we've told you we are honoring one of our own here at Caraway Speedway during the running of the Warrior 100. Zach Brewer had run with the Smart Modified Tour on and off over the past couple of years, but he's been a staple of the racing community here in the South, dating back to the old NASCAR Goodies Dash Series and several other forms of motorsports. He passed earlier this week. His family, Cam and Avery, are here honoring Zach here today, as we will as well. And Flow Racing, as well as Smart Modified Tour, put together this tribute for Zach Brewer.
South from the old Dash Series right here to the Modifieds. And he's won in one of the most famous rides in all of modified racing in the South. Hillbilly Racing. The number 79 for Zach Brewer.
What's up, man? You ready?
We will miss Zach Brewer indeed, but it's so nice to be able to honor him here today with his family, with all the friends and family from the Smart Modified Tour, the Hillbilly Racing Ride. On top of that number 77, a great looking shot here from the Carolina Drilling CitraSafe Grill Cleaners drone. Gives you just a good perspective of this racetrack with the two drag strips that are the straightaways and basically two corners, which we call corners 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I want to go to the number 79 car of Anthony Bello, David Hill, the Hillbilly Racing Ride, having a good showing here right now in the, it looks like, 6th position on the racetrack, that bright colored race car. And on the top of that car, one of the crew members today poked me and said, hey, go take a look at that number. And, you know, we talk about Zach Brewer. He just meant a lot to everybody. He was a friend of so many. Talked to Jeff Bunton about that today or earlier this week. And, you know, Zach was just a guy that always had a smile. He was a fierce competitor, but always had a smile on his face. And on the top of that car is a number. And within that number are so many pictures and images of Zach, his rides throughout the year, the character that he was, the smile that he always carried with him at the racetrack, and his family that he loved so much as well. A wife, Kimberly, as well as Avery, his daughter. So thank you to all the competitors. Each one of the competitors also has a sticker on the side of their cars honoring Zach here today during the Warrior 100. The CitraSafe Choose Cone back out on the racetrack. You can see drivers, when they get to that CitraSafe Choose Cone, they get to choose the outside or inside. And by the way, if you've never tried the CitraSafe product, you need to. Head to Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, you name it. It's available all over the place. They have great scouring pads, but you spray their cleaner on your grill, and it's biodegradable. It's safe for everybody. And in just moments, you can see everything kind of just loosen up. You take that scouring pad, and everything comes off nice and clean. And remember, if it's race season, it's grilling season. Check them out at citrasafe.com. Next time by, we'll be going back to Green Flag Racing. Love modified racing throughout the Northeast and the Southeast as well. Smart Modifieds at the end of April. We'll see NASCAR Modifieds at Bowman Gray Stadium. The Sizzler coming up in April at Stafford Motor Speedway, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, the Modified Racing Series, having some great races in the Northeast as well, the Tri-Track Series. If you want to see some of the best racing action in America, make sure you go out and see the Modifieds when they come to your town. Coming off of turn number 4 now, Danny Bone, Matt Hirschman, the front row. Check this out from the CitraSafe and Carolina Drilling drone. Great addition to our Flow Racing broadcast, and we'll have some more bells and whistles when we get to South Boston for the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds. Matt Hirschman by Danny Bone for the lead here, just past the lap 30 marker in the Warrior 100. Bone now under fire for second. Carson Lofton, the kid on the outside, battling with Danny Bone. Danny Bone used to be one of those young and up-and-coming racers, now a veteran. He reminds me, I'm not that old yet, okay? But Carson Lofton trying to dispose of him for second. He does. Lofton up to second. Bone trying to hold on to third, but Bobby Labonte is there on the outside as well. Good battle here in the top 5. Labonte trying to make that top 5 spot work for him to the outside to get into third. Not able to do it just yet, but a little slip up by Danny Bone in the 24. That's going to give Labonte the 3rd position. Bone back to 4th, and 5th place now, the 0-5 of Brandon Ward, the defending winner of this race. Lofton, so mature beyond his years at just 15 years old, and now tracking down one of the best in the business. Matt Hirschman won 3 times during Florida Speed Weeks at New Smyrna Speedway. Here comes Lofton to the inside. He says, I want a shot at this lead early on in the Warrior 100. We're just 37 laps complete now. 3rd place inching into that battle as well. That's Bobby Labonte. Let's see some battles a little bit further back in the field. Anthony Bello and Joey Coulter. Bello running in 9th. Coulter wants the spot. The defending champ Burt Myers in that peanut patch backyard leisure pools and spas CitraSafe #1. Burt Myers is there as well. The 04 machine of Brandon Ward looking good. That's the other gray car there, but there's Joey Coulter and the AirShock 02. Coulter won here a couple of years ago on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, hoping to get back to victory lane. Coulter was not happy last year, a goose egg in the win column, but he was able to get the job done at Caraway. He says, I like this racetrack. 4 starts, the last 4 starts for Joey Coulter at this racetrack, all top 4 runs for him, but without another victory is what he's hoping for here today to get back to Pace-O-Matic victory lane. Jake Crum loses another spot. Will Lambros goes by him. We saw that from our Flow Racing cameras. So Jake Crum, the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award winner in qualifying, starting to fade back a little bit. He's having a difficult run. He's back to 8th now. Will Lambros now up to 7th. He didn't qualify that well, but Lambros in that PSR chassis, that number 77 red machine, is starting to pick off some spots. Joey Coulter in the 02 trying to get to the inside of Anthony Bello. Bello said he enjoyed himself and had a better run late in the race last week at Florence. Mentioned, just 18 years old, going to graduate high school this year. And he's running with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic on a national level. Trying to hold off Joey Coulter. Jimmy Blewett still trying to work to the inside of Burt Myers. The battle between the black and white cars in that shot. Talking about the number 1 and also the car behind him, the number 99. Blewett, by the way, looking for some sponsorship. And if you're ever going to sponsor anybody, honestly, Jimmy Blewett would be somebody I'd put my money on, because the guy can get exposure. Media, fans love him. He's a character. He's a tough guy. So if you want some good exposure, put your name on that number 99, or even when he gets to South Boston Speedway in his family-owned number 76 machine. That battle right there, just crazy. Jake Crum starting to back up a little bit. Will Lambros is back there as well, just got by Jake Crum. Anthony Bello doesn't know which way to go because Jake Crum is just slowing down. Annabeth, his wife, Jake Crum's wife, will be competing today in the late models here at Caraway Speedway as well. Let's check out the drone coverage in just a second here, because I love the perspective that this Carolina Drilling CitraSafe Grill Cleaners drone gives us as we just kind of zoom around this racetrack. Loaded with haulers on the infield, but just great battles throughout this race. And take a look at this one right here. You can get a real good perspective of what this track is with the tight corners down in 3 and 4 and even in 1 and 2 as well. Great shot there by Philip. We appreciate him for providing the drone coverage. We're or actually flying the drone that is provided by Carolina Drilling and Citrus Safe Grill Cleaners. Jimmy Blewett. Jake Crum is going to the back in a hurry in that black number 12. Losing numerous spots, is now outside the top 10. Jake Crum, who started in the 5th spot. Brian Lofton going by him as well. Lofton, remember that red and white car for Shady Grady Racing early on in the show was involved in an incident. Jimmy Wallace in that black and silver machine, one of the consummate competitors here with the Smart Modified Tour. The 24 car now up near the front says he's very happy with his race car. Hopefully we'll get a chance to use our racing electronics communications at some point. Carson Lofton in second. Lofton trying to catch Matt Hirschman, but I believe the young kid is getting told right now, hey, let's exude some patience. Just ride here right now. And he too reporting on the radio that his car is very good as well. Hirschman, though, you talk about a family that just knows a thing or two about modified racing. His dad, a 5-time NASCAR Modified Tour champion, one of the best in the business to ever sit behind the wheel of a modified. Matt Hirschman's dad, Tony Hirschman. By the way, his brother, Tony Hirschman Jr., a spotter within the NASCAR ranks, was with Kyle Busch for so many years, Ty Gibbs and more. But Tony, never behind the wheel for Tony Hirschman Jr., but man, he guided many a victory for so many different competitors. The 12 car of Jake Crum, we're getting a report right now that Jake Crum losing the engine, or maybe now we see him not on the racetrack, has lost the engine in that number 12 car. So a bad break for Jake Crum. We saw him fading. Bad break underneath the hood for Jake Crum. When we talk about Matt Hirschman, you talk about the success of that driver. Just think about what he's been able to do. 55 Race of Champions Modified Series wins, a handful of wins on the NASCAR Wheel of Modified Tour, 16 Tri-Track Modified wins, 17 at Smyrna Speed Weeks. The interesting thing about Matt Hirschman, another competitor in the field, Jimmy Blewett, who now runs in 8th. Blewett's pretty good. He says, you know what? Matt Hirschman a lot better than me. Honestly, he said Matt Hirschman is the new Richie Evans. Nobody better than Matt right now in modified competition, and he might be rivaling with the likes of 9-time NASCAR modified champion Richie Evans as well. And that's a big statement by the character Jimmy Blewett, who is now trying to pick off another spot. Here's Jimmy Blewett trying to go by Will Lambros. So Jimmy Blewett looks like he's going to be able to pick up that 7th spot, but that's a big, big statement by Jimmy Blewett, and he's seen a lot of great race car drivers in his day. Behind that, there's Anthony Bello, as well as Joey Coulter. Bello running in the 9th spot, Coulter in 10th, and Burt Myers, last year's winner of the Revolutionary 99 here at Caraway, running in 11th right now. So Burt Myers not having the showing that we thought he would, didn't have a great qualifying effort, but he is a 14-time winner, is Burt Myers. We got a yellow flag. A car, as you saw by our Flow Racing cameras right there, stopped on the outside of turn number 2. It's the Kevin Says Yes.com 04 for Brandon Ward, the defending winner of this Warrior 100 from 1 year ago. So that brings out the caution, and the question is now, with 63 laps complete, we're past the halfway point in this race. So will everybody come down pit road, or will they wait for a little bit later on in this race? Listening to some of the radio communication here, the Bankers Life halfway leader in this one was Matt Hirschman. Danny Bone led a bunch of laps in this one, but now has faded back to the 4th spot. We'll let the teams talk about what they're going to do with strategy right now. We're listening into a couple of them on our Racing Electronics communications. We'll see once they pit if we can get a word with somebody on the racetrack. Got to clean up this race car. Brandon Ward stuck up in turn number 2. Looks like the left front tire is down on that race car. The running order as we see right now, Matt Hirschman in first, Carson Lofton in the 23 in second, Bobby Labonte in the Cookout Coca-Cola Pace-O-Matic machine is in the third spot. Danny Bone, that Amerifast 24 is fourth. And in the Shitty Coolers number 2, it's Ryan Newman. They will all stop on the front stretch here to allow the safety teams to take a look at that 04 and figure out how to get him off the racetrack. In the meantime, we'll take a quick break here on Flow Racing.
Race fans, concession stands are opened up again on the concourse if you want to get some delicious food here from the Caraway Speedway. Always recommend the delicious nachos and cheese. Of course, cheeseburgers.
We are back live here at Caraway Speedway, right in the middle of the Warrior 100. We're going to head to our Racing Electronics Communications and talk to Matt Hirschman on top of this field. Matt, how good is this race car right now?
So far, so good. I mean, we're in the same position we were last week at this time, but from this point, it's kind of where things fell apart for us. So we'll just see how things go. I mean, I believe everybody's going to come in here. We're coming in as well. We're going to do our tire, and hopefully it balances out and the car stays good to the finish. But it's it's been kind of smooth sailing so far, but business is about to pick up.
A smart Chevy on the side of your race car for this particular race. I know you appreciate their support and got bigger plans for the King of the Modifieds coming up. But I want to ask you about that kid behind you that won at Florence. And you battled with him last year at Florence. What do you think of Carson Lofton as somebody that was a former rising star of the Modifieds himself?
Yeah, I mean, for his age and his ability, it's pretty amazing. I hadn't even sat in a race car yet, and he's already winning modified races at that age when I was that age. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's got right now. I mean, he's advanced to second. I'm definitely I felt coming in, and I feel right now like he's going to be the toughest competition from here out to the finish of this race. He's put himself in good position. We'll just see who's got what here down in the closing stages of the race, and see if we can hold him off this week. But it's really won't be any surprise if he can pull it off again. Not for me anyway.
Matt, thanks so much. Good luck the rest of the race.
Thank you.
That was Matt Hirschman in the PD Motorsports number 60. Thank you to Racing Electronics for providing that communication with the drivers during this race. Looks like we might be picking things up, and I believe opening up pit road. You heard Matt Hirschman talking about coming down and taking on his tire right now. We're just looking to see how long this break is, and the teams do fire once again, so the cars are started. Was told that left front indeed was down on the 04 of Brandon Ward. And Joey Coulter struggling with the handling of that race car. Joey Coulter, who has finished in the top 4 here at Caraway in his last 4 races. Coulter having a decent run in 9th, but they definitely need to make some adjustments to that 0-2 machine on this next pit stop. We're going to have cameras positioned all over pit road. We got 2 cameras on top of the tower. We're going to have our Citrus Safe Carolina Drilling drone as well, looking at some of these pit stops when they come down, when pit road is open. Looks like we're going to circulate this racetrack at least one more time before they open pit road. Again, it's Matt Hirschman over Carson Lofton, Bobby Labonte, Danny Bone, and Ryan Newman, your top 5. A little bit further back, great bounce back by Jimmy Blewett, was involved in that opening laps incident down in turn number 1, had a left front tire go down. Because of that, he's running in 6th, so he's got a hot rod here today. Will Lambros, the road racer, in 7th. Anthony Bello in 8th in the 79. Joey Coulter back in the 0-2, as we mentioned, in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, Burt Myers. Hirschman coming in. We're listening to a lot of the race car drivers in their machines. By the way, early race competitor in the top 5, Jake Crum, out with engine trouble underneath the hood. Here they come. Each team has a tire available to them. Only one tire. Usually you see it go on the right rear, and that's what Matt Hirschman is doing right now. You see that right rear tire coming off and a new one going on. That will be his change. Will there be any adjustments on that car? Big question. Let's go to second place in the double box right now. Carson Lofton. Lofton, they're working on the left side of that race car right now for Carson Lofton. This is a controlled caution. So if you come down pit road, when you go out, you will not lose your position. Now, anybody out in front that stays out on the racetrack, they will start ahead of all the drivers who pitted. And right now, Luke Baldwin actually stayed out on the racetrack. So interesting move by Luke Baldwin during this caution ball period. Luke Baldwin was running in 16th prior to this caution. A lot of activity right now on pit road. We head to the Citrus Safe Carolina Drilling drone. Take a look at all the work on these good-looking modifieds on pit road during this break on lap 63. Will Lambros in the 77 in the top 10. Daniel Yates coming back to the Smart Modified Tour. Tommy Buzzy having another difficult outing here. Buzzy running back in 15th right now. Jimmy Blewett. Another flat tire on Jimmy Blewett's machine. Wow. Bad break for him. He had a roll through the field. He was up to 6th, so a good break on this caution as well. Thank you to Tony Stevens with that information. Remember, after the Smart Modified Tour on Flow, you can check out all the racing action. We have a couple of other divisions for you, including the Carolina Crate Pro Late models, as well as the Carolina Crate Modifieds that can be seen on Pit Road TV, as well as Caraway Speedway.tv. Thinking of my old dirt days back there at Carolina Speedway in Gastonia, North Carolina. So you see the work getting finished to all the teams, and Matt Hirschman and his team taking their time at what they want to do to this race car. Matt Hirschman possibly calling for a change on that car. Wish I could get the 7 car of Baldwin on the radio, but can't get him just yet. So we might try another car. I know Ryan Newman has had a good run. See if we get Ryan Newman on the Racing Electronics communication. We'll head back to the Racing Electronics Communication and go with Ryan Newman, who's in the top 5. Ryan, you've had a pretty good run. How does that car feel right now at this stage of the game?
Well, we've kind of just not rode around. It's definitely picked up pace from where we were last week in Florence, but I feel like we've got a good car. It's just a matter of figuring out where this right rear change tire is going to be. We did swap left like most cars, and just do what we can. I've got to thank Shitty Coolers, Aggressive Hydraulics, Montrose Motors, and Capital Auto Group for the opportunity to do this. And we're halfway there. We got 5 of them down in the first 60 laps. We got 5 to go before we started.
Hey, real quick, first time here to Caraway to compete in a physical race. So what do you think of this place?
It's definitely got character, and I like character. You know that from listening to me for 20 plus years talking about Atlanta and Darlington and Rockingham and places like that. So we'll see if we can make do with it.
Good luck, Ryan. Ryan Newman currently in the top 5, running in that 5th spot in that Shitty Coolers number 2. So good run for Ryan Newman, who finished 3rd at Florence Speedway. No CitraSafe Choose cone just yet. I'm going to go over to the tower and get a clarification with what's going on with the 60 right now. Interesting development on the number 60 for Matt Hirschman. A rule here on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic is that they give you, once they get going again, they give you 1 lap. They gave Matt Hirschman that opportunity to come back out. He stayed on pit road for 3 laps working on that race car. That's a no-no here according to the rules of the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. So now Matt Hirschman, who is out in front prior to this caution, has to go to the rear of the field. Bad break for Matt Hirschman. We'll see if he can make his way up through this field. Next time by, we are going to fire. And it's the young guns on the front row for this restart. On the inside, he was involved in that mishap earlier today, is Luke Baldwin. Yeah, and here's the rules as it is written. Cars that depart pit road after the 2nd lap of the controlled caution will not retain their restart position. And that's the exact rule as written in the Smart Modified Tour rulebook. Now let's get back to racing. Bad break for Hirschman. We'll see if he can come back to the front. Up front, it's Baldwin and Lofton front row. Lofton gonna make this one look easy. Carson Lofton, the 15-year-old kid, to the front in the Warrior 100. Wow. That kid, as Matt Hirschman was talking about, just so talented. Luke Baldwin now files into 2nd. 3rd place is Bobby Labonte. The battle, though, a little bit behind that for the 5th spot. Jimmy Showtime Blewett and Danny Bone, a pair of New Jersey speedsters going at it for that spot. Blewett with the edge at the line, and now here comes Anthony Bello to the inside of Danny Bone. That lower lane gonna open up, hopefully for Danny Bone. He does not get freight trained right now because he's in a precarious position here on the outside. He stands on the gas and files in. Great job by Danny Bone to file in right behind Jimmy Blewett. Little bumper tag down there in the corner as Blewett kind of drove in a little bit hard. Burt Myers is there as well. Battle for 2nd, no longer. There goes Bobby Labonte by his teammate at S&S Racing, Luke Baldwin. Oh, look at this on the front stretch. Lofton almost got to the inside retaining wall. People all over the place here on the front stretch. Lofton, Blake Barney in that black and white 27, going at it a little bit further back in the field. Lofton currently running in the 12th spot. Brandon Ward right behind him. Remember, Brandon Ward brought out that most recent caution with that left front tire down. Lofton, Labani. They are at the head of this field. Trying to get our cameras positioned within the top 5 here. 99 of Jimmy Blewett having a heck of a run here today. And that Jamie Tomato, number 99. He is up to 5th. Out front, it's Carson Lofton over Bobby Labani. Remember how hot Bobby Labani was at the end of last year. The NASCAR Hall of Famer winning 2 of the final 3 races of the Smart Modified Tour. Now, with a lot of stuff going on in Bobby Labani's life, only a part-time competitor with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic this year. Lofton, though, going after a championship. And how about this? Need to text Justin Mincy to find out the last time a driver won the first 2 races of the season on the Smart Modified Tour, because that's what Carson Lofton is trying to do here today. Still plenty of laps left in this one. 74 now complete out of 99. Tommy Buzzy in that blue and white number 25. Buzzy running in 11th. Starting to pick up the pace just a little bit is Tommy Buzzy. Good run for him here. He needs a top 10 finish to start this season. Jason Myers behind him in the black number 4. Myers loves the Smart Modified Tour, always loves modified racing at Bowman Gray Stadium as well. And remember, not only can you see the Smart races on Flow Racing, you can also see all the NASCAR modified competition at Bowman Gray Stadium and the Madhouse as well. That'll open up in late April. Ryan Newman. Here comes Newman to the inside of Bobby Labani. 2 greats from the NASCAR Cup Series going at it for just a second. Newman now up to 2nd, now trying to reel in Carson Lofton. Newman, 46 years old. The leader of this race, just 15 years old. I'm sure Carson Lofton watched a lot of Ryan Newman in the NASCAR Cup Series in his younger years. We say younger years, he's just 15 years old. But Ryan Newman, one of NASCAR's greatest drivers, now running for a championship. Let's see that number 2 car to widen out just a little bit to see Carson Lofton as well as Ryan Newman. There's the gap right now. About what, 6-7 car lengths, the distance between 1st and 2nd. And then you see Labani lurking back there in the 3rd spot as well. Burt Myers trying to make his way through the field as well. Myers has moved up to 7th. Now trying to pick up another spot. He's actually now an 8th. Anthony Bello in that 7th spot. They've been going back and forth the last couple of laps. Joey Coulter behind that in the 02 car. Coulter with a 4th place run at Florence last week. Burt Myers was runner-up. Bello was outside the top 10 and now solidly in the top 10 here in the Warrior 100. Up front, Carson Lofton trying to navigate. Gary Putnam going around him. So does Ryan Newman. The top 2 have opened up a big gap over 3rd place running Bobby Labani. So it looks like right now it's all Carson Lofton and Ryan Newman in this one. Approaching 10 laps to go in this one. 15 right now here in the Warrior 100 as they take the stripe. Luke Baldwin in the 7NY. Jimmy Blewett applying some pressure right there. Baldwin's got 4th. Jimmy Blewett wants it. Blewett, 6th place run at Florence last week. Showtime goes to the inside of Luke Baldwin and takes the position. Behind that is Danny Bone. Remember, Bone up front early in this race in the top 3. Has faded back outside the top 5. But right now, Bone in that 6th spot. He wants a top 5 spot again. finished in the top 10 last week, says that we need to do better here at Caraway. This is one of his favorite racetracks. Back up front, the gap is still the same. About, 4 or 5 car lengths between Carson Lofton and Ryan Newman. We head back to the Carolina Drilling Citrus Safe Grill Cleaners drone. Philip Dixon flying this drone high above this .455 mile oval. And you can see Lofton, who came here with his father for so many years to watch his dad. And his dad, an 18-time winner of Tour Type Modified competition here. Well, as we've said, you know, he is a shadow of his dad. Maybe even more mature than his dad was early on in his racing career. But he definitely learned a lot from his dad, Brian Lofton. Newman, new ride for him this year. Randy Renfro turning the wrenches on this number 2 car. Last year being driven by Brandon Ward. Finished second in points. Now it's Newman in this car going after a championship in the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Under 10 to go now here in the Warrior 100. Burt Myers still trying to make his way by Anthony Bello. Bello in the 79. Now some interesting lap traffic for the top 2 as well. Here comes Burt Myers, looks to the inside of Anthony Bello. If he's able to open up the door, that's going to allow 3 cars to go by Bello. Bello doesn't let it happen. Back to the lead. Newman is closing in now. Newman within a car length or 2 of Carson Lofton. Back here, Burt Myers going to be able to get the spot, and watch what this does. Bello might be in trouble. Burt Myers able to pick up the spot. Myers now up to 7th. Myers hoping for a late race caution. Maybe he was able to gain some more spots. Coulter gets by too. So it's actually Myers in 7th, Joey Coulter in 8th. Bello in the 79. His transponder working sometimes and not other laps as well. So they're stacked up from 7th on back there. Back up front. 5 to go. Now 4 this time by. Can Newman catch him? We'll keep our eyes peeled. Daniel Yates, a slower car. A little wiggle out of Daniel Yates. That's got to scare Carson Lofton. Yates, that handling going away on that number 18 car. Carson Lofton around him. Newman is there. But can he close in anymore? And we got some smoke down there in the corner. I believe maybe a car stuck on the inside, and it's dad, Brian Lofton. That is not what Carson Lofton wanted to see late in this race, but it's his dad bringing out the caution here in the Warrior 100 with just 3 laps to go. And some major damage as well as we look to pit road. The blue and white 25 car of Tommy Buzzy with units moving in storage and Mark III Financial on the side of that race car. You can see it is banged up a bit. Those marks on the tires and the right front suspension bent up on that 25 car. Bad break for the Andretti team. Gonna head down to Concord, North Carolina before we get to South Boston and get Carson Lofton's radio programmed in our racing communications. Thank you to Racing Electronics for doing that at the last minute at Florence. But we need to keep on getting some more driver frequencies in there to have an opportunity. But I don't know if Carson Lofton would want to talk to us right now, honestly. He's got to be nervous with a Daytona 500 winning driver right behind him. Looks like Jonathan Cash will get the wave around here. Jonathan Cash in the Pace-O-Matic number 16 for S&S Racing. Cash being scored in 19th at this caution. So how nervous are you if you're 15 years old and you have Ryan Newman behind you for this restart? He is so mature, way beyond his years, but still, he's a race fan at heart. Has watched drivers like Ryan Newman in the NASCAR series. Heck, he's got 2 NASCAR drivers behind him in Ryan Newman and Bobby Labonte. Newman talking on the radio, talking about what they need to do to that race car the next time they come to Caraway, and that will be July 6th with the revolutionary 99. Our next event on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic will be Saturday, March 23rd for the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds powered by Dominion Energy. $20,000 on the line to the winner of that race. One of the richest purses in modified racing. You do not want to miss going to that beautiful facility in South Boston, Virginia on Saturday, March 23rd. I want to say thank you, by the way, to Jostens, the most trusted partner in celebrating moments that matter. They have helped us develop the Smarty Trophy for all the race winners and the championship as well at the end of the season. It truly embodies, that trophy does, of all the characteristics of modified racing from the North and South regions. To learn more, visit Jostens.com. That's Jostens, provider of the Smart Modified Smarty Trophy and proud sponsor of the Lap Leader Award in 2023. Carolina Drilling as well, not only the sponsor of our drone coverage, they're also a well drilling contractor located in Mocksville, North Carolina, a leader in both drilling and blasting in the region, and proud to return of the sponsor of the Carolina Drilling Blast of the Front Award. This award given to the highest finishing non-tour type modified series winner in the final rundown. Special thanks goes out to Jason Tutterow and to all the fine employees of Carolina Drilling for their continued support of modified racing. Matt Hirschman on pit road. What a bad break for him. They gave him 2 laps once the field got moving after the controlled caution. Because he stayed in for 3 or more laps, he was relegated to the rear of the field from the front starting spot that he would have had on that front row for that restart, and he had to go to the back of the field. I'm sure Hirschman a little bit frustrated inside the cockpit of that race car. Jimmy Blewett, by the way, saying he has a car that can get him to the front here in 3 laps. He is from New Jersey. The 60 came down pit road. He had a punctured right front tire and a broken coil on the 25 as well. Some reports, thank you, to our series director, Chris Williams. Ryan Newman, we've been listening to his radio transmission. He wants to know where everybody is, who's starting behind him, who's on the bottom side of the second row. Well, right now, it's Lofton to his inside as the leader of this race. Bobby Labonte is on the inside of the second row. And Jimmy Blewett, who says he has a car that could win here today. He'll have to do so from the 4th starting spot on this restart. This spot on the inside is Danny Bone. Luke Baldwin holding on to that 7 VA to the outside of the 3rd row. The 4th row, Joey Coulter in the 02, Burt Myers in the Citrus Safe number 1. Will Lambros, another top 10 run for him in that Skip Barber Racing School red 77. He's 9th at this restart. And Anthony Bello in the Sundrop 79, rounding out the top 10 as they line up for the restart. 3 laps to go. It's a dash for the cash in the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. And Carson Lofton is trying to hold on with one of the best in the business alongside Ryan Newman. Lofton edges out front. Newman now goes to the low side. A little wiggle out of Newman and a bump to the back bumper of Carson Lofton. This is going to be war in the final 2 laps of this race. We'll see what happens here in this one. Lofton on the outside now. Here comes Newman. Newman trying to pass Carson Lofton in the closing laps of the Warrior 100. We got a car up in turn number 2, stopped. A car stopped, the yellow flag comes out. Daniel Yates with some right front suspension damage on that number 18 car, brings out the caution with 2 to go. Race director David Hoots addressing the situation on the racetrack to all the teams and all the spotters up in the spotter stand. Carson Lofton back at top of the field. Newman was talking on the radio that he believed he should be the leader of this race. Now it's a 2-lap battle royale here in the Warrior 100. I don't think Bobby Labonte has anything in that 3rd spot. Jimmy Blewett says he does on the radio, but Jimmy Blewett wasn't able to muster up enough strength. He'll have another shot at it here when we go green again with 2 to go. I will say, nice to have a couple of my Appalachian State students with me. Spence and Ryan, they're sitting behind me, enjoying the day here in Sophia, North Carolina, and watching the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Spence is an aspiring journalist. Has been around racing. His dad has worked in racing for a long, long time. Ryan, his dad loved racing. He loves racing. That's why he's here. Good program up there with the television broadcasting portion of App State. And by the way, App State playing in the semifinals in basketball for the Sun Belt Conference tournament here today. After we get done here, I'll be watching that on ESPN+. You want to take a quick break? Quick break here while we get Daniel Yates on the tow truck. And we'll be back with the conclusion of this one, and it's going to be spectacular. I'm excited for this one. Absolutely. Wesley Outland, he'll be part of the broadcast team for the remainder of the day here at Caraway Speedway. Flow Racing only showing the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. But, you know, Wesley and Terry, and we have like 5,000 announcers up here today, and they'll all be carrying the rest of the action on CarawaySpeedway.tv as well as Pit Road TV. Our focus, though, firmly on the top 2 spots in this one. Carson Lofton won last week at Florence for the first time in his career in tour-type modified competition at 15 years, 11 months, and 3 days. Became the youngest winner in series history. Well, he's 15. Oh, Ryan Newman is 46. A little bit of difference in experience right there between those 2 drivers. And Newman chatting on his radio all about what he needs to do, not only for the finish of this race, but also to get that car even better the next time we come here to Caraway, which we mentioned, July 6th with the Revolutionary 99. Got a good field of 26 modifieds. Good fields in first 2 races for sure. The Smart Modified Tour has grown by leaps and bounds since Chris Williams brought it back in 2020. And each year the fields get stronger and stronger. And it's part of the culture that he has built and his staff. And thanks to Pace-O-Matic, it has allowed them to do that. This is one of the most successful modified series in America right now, and it's right here in the southern states here of North Carolina, Virginia, hopefully someday Tennessee and South Carolina. We'll be going to Lonesome Pine up outside of Bristol later on this year. That's going to be fun. Just about an hour drive from Bristol. That'll be on the Wednesday leading up to the big Bristol race later on this year. Our next event, again, Saturday, March 23rd, the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds, $20,000 to win. Thanks for Dominion Energy for signing up to support that race, as well as Vista Installations and Virginia's Stanley Law Group. Gosh, I can't sit down for this one. I'm too excited. Are we excited in the booth here for this one? Come on, guys. You guys, the 5,000 announcers here, are always the ones that are saying, come on, everybody in the stands get pumped up, and you guys sound awful. I want to hear some vivacious emotion here. we don't want you doing that. You don't need to do no Jimmy Superfly Snuka here. All right, getting ready, awaiting the 1 to go signal. Still getting things cleaned up just a little bit. Looks like we'll have at least one more to go before we get that 1 to go signal. Doubled up this time by Lofton Newman, Labonte Blewett, Bone, and Luke Baldwin. Baldwin with another good performance. Just outside the top 5. He finished 5th last week. And Baldwin, man, I'm just so impressed with that hard-charging driver. The grandson of the Tiger Tom Baldwin, who was one of the best out of the Northeast Modifieds and ran well all over America. And Luke Baldwin's dad, Tommy Baldwin, the Daytona 500 winning crew chief for Ward Burton back in the day. I pause because my chair has to go down. There's Brandon Ward. Apparently we're still under caution. The transporters here, the hauler is blocking the angle that we had. So thanks to the Flow Racing cameras to get us this shot. Brandon Ward, the defending winner of the Warrior 100, with trouble again on the racetrack and trying to get that car hooked up here at Caraway Speedway. So many big modified races through the years have been here at Caraway, of course. They conclude the season with the North-South Shootout. That is always a very popular modified show as well. We'll be here on a few occasions with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. But if you look at all over this racetrack, it is surrounded by hills. And right now, still no leaves on the trees, except for I do see some buds coming out. I live up in Boone, so a little colder up there. We're already seeing buds on the trees down here. But you have a hillside, you have trackside parking. You can see that hillside right there. Just a beautiful facility for Darren Hackett and all of his staff here. They love modifieds, and that's why the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic keeps on coming back to this facility. Coming into this one, 76 modified races in the history here for the Smart Modified Tour at Caraway. This is the 77th running for Smart. And there's the Carolina Drilling CitraSafe Grill Cleaners drone again with the CitraSafe Choose Cone. And as expected, Lofton down the bottom, Newman up top. Newman not afraid at all. Remember, he comes from the old USAC ranks. Okay, he was just a legend in the old Silver Crown, the sprint cars and so forth. So good on pavement was Ryan Newman as well at tracks like Winchester and so forth. Just unbelievable. Got him the shot to come to NASCAR and run some NASCAR, what was then the NASCAR Busch Series, now the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Roger Penske. Spent a good portion of his career with that Penske ride, went over to Stewart Haas Racing, had so much success. And he says, I'm not done. He goes, I don't need to do NASCAR Cup Series racing. I want to do what I enjoy. And since moving to the South and, has a beautiful home and a lot of animals, let me tell you that. And now he's racing these mighty modifieds and having a good time at it. And he's got one that can contend for the win here today. So we're coming to the finish here. Let's try it again. 2 to go. 15 years old on the inside for Carson Lofton, 46 years old on the outside for Ryan Newman. Green flag is out. Newman gives him room. Lofton takes him high. Lofton trying to push him up the racetrack, able to get the run up off the bottom. Newman has to file in behind him, gives Lofton a shot down in 3 and 4. White flag is out for Carson Lofton. Can he hold on? Newman is there, one more shot. He tries to get to the bumper, cannot do it. Down in 3 and 4, Newman. He's got one more shot down here. What is he going to do? He wraps him on the back bumper. Lofton, the kid, holds on. Carson Lofton, 2 in a row to start the season for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. But we have a wild wreck down in turn number 4 as well. Burt Myers and Brian Lofton, 2 cars hard up against the wall as they came to the checker. You saw those 2 drivers hit the wall hard in turn number 4. Second place in this one, Ryan Newman. Third, Bobby Labonte. Fourth, Jimmy Blewett. And fifth, it appears as if it's Danny Bone.
Two races in a row. And what a tribute coming up to also pay homage and love and respect to Zach Brewer. The young driver from Lexington, North Carolina. Carson Lofton, his second career back-to-back in a row Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic victory here at Caraway Speedway. Post interviews coming up here in just a moment. Let's go down to Bob Dillner.
And right now you can see the flag being put inside Carson Lofton's car to honor the passing of Zach Brewer. Zach and his family have meant so much to the Southern modified culture for so long, Southern racing for so long. Carson Lofton going to take this 31 flag around the racetrack to honor the late Zach Brewer. Zach's wife, Kimberly, daughter Avery, here today as well. But Carson Lofton has done it again. Randy Renfro leaning into the cockpit of that race car. The crew chief for Ryan Newman to congratulate Carson Lofton. Ryan Newman had already been over here to congratulate him as well. Folks, stand up on your feet. Not just for Carson Lofton, but for Zach Brewer's family as well. They will pay tribute to the great man Zach Brewer here today. Cody Norman with that 31 on the side of his race car. Also joining Carson Lofton, 31 was Zach Brewer's number for so long. In fact, Zach worked for Cody Norman's dad, Mike Norman, for so long, for a dozen years. And that's why Cody had the 31 on the side of his race car for this Warrior 100. But an emotional moment today as both of those drivers with so much tradition in modified racing circle this racetrack, the winner, Carson Lofton and Cody Norman, to do one thing and one thing alone, pay tribute to Zach Brewer. Folks, as these cars come around to the front stretch again, put your hands together, not only for Carson Lofton, but for Zach Brewer and his family. We lost him way too soon. And it's been a week with heavy hearts in the Southern racing community. But today, he is remembered as the flag with the 31 and Zach Brewer flies around this racetrack in a victory celebration here at Caraway Speedway.
Stay right by Bob.
We got the Banker's Life Smarty Trophy down here for Carson Lofton, manufactured by Jostens. Dad is now talking to Carson inside the race car. Dad had tears in his eyes last week, as did Granddad as well. I think the entire team did. And now Carson Lofton has won his second race in a row. Brandon Ward, also in victory lane. Luke Baldwin congratulating his buddy Carson Lofton. Baldwin with another good run here today. Folks, get ready. We are ready. Put your hands together. Back-to-back victories for the kid Carson Lofton, and this one comes in the Warrior 100 at Caraway in honor of Zach Brewer. Hugs from his team, his dad, his granddad trying to offer you your LeBlue bottled water, your sponsor. Take a sip in victory lane. You've been around this modified world for 15 years. Your family's been around it for a lot longer. But I want to ask you before what this victory means to you personally. What does this victory mean to you by being able to honor Zach Brewer with that flag going around the racetrack after your victory?
Man, this means so much. You know, I wanted to get it done for Zach. If it wasn't for one of us, me, you know, one of Zach's buddies to get it done, I wish which one was us. So I'm glad I could get it done for him. You know, this feels great. You know, he's such a great mentor to me, such a great friend to me. It means so much to my family. So to get it done for him and his little daughter Avery, Kim, and all of his family over there, that's awesome.
Awesome to see them with us here today. Want to ask you as well about 3 laps to go. You have a restart, and here we go. Let's get the entire family there and do the trophy presentation. An emotional moment down here in victory lane. We appreciate all of you for coming here today. I know it's got to be difficult. Awesome to have Kimberly and Avery here today. Absolutely. Big hugs down in victory lane. An emotional moment for sure. It's been emotional for everybody this week. Zach was a darn good guy. He's watching down on us today, watching Carson Lofton win this race. Sorry, everybody. Let's get Carson in here and talk to him a little bit more after this emotion, talking about those pair of restarts at the end of this race as well. Ryan Newman battling with you as a 15-year-old to win this one. What were you thinking?
You talk about, you know, I said last week at Sobo flashbacks. It was definitely this week. You know, it was my dad, the caution too. I was like, come on, man. But, you know, I'm glad we could pull it out. Ryan, you know, it's a phenomenal race starter. Mr. Newman, you know, I can't thank him enough for running me clean. You know, I used him up a little bit more than I wanted to going into one, so I'm glad he kept it classy there. But that was fun, man. I'm glad we could race hard and race with respect. That was great.
Did your dad, I saw him congratulate you. Did he say?
Carson Lofton is the man. He is the man.
Luke Baldwin's the man, too. He's going to win one of these smart races as well. But did he lean in and say, sorry about bringing out that caution?
No, I was expecting that, you know, but he congratulated me. I hate that happened to Matt Hirschman, too. You know, and I thought he was really good. I thought he was probably the car to beat tonight. But, you know, it happened how we ended up at the win. Like I say, I hate that happened to him. Hopefully we can actually get to race for a win.
Hey, are you a hockey fan?
No.
Okay, you know what a hat trick is?
No, but I am a UNC basketball fan. How about them Tar Heels last night?
That was pretty good. App State playing today, but a hat trick is when you have 3 scores in a row. That's what you'll be going for when we get to South Boston Speedway with the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds powered by Dominion Energy. He's got the Banker's Life Smarty Trophy for the 2nd time in his career. Put your hands together for the kid, Carson Lofton. We're going to head over here and talk to the driver of the Shitty Coolers #2, Ryan Newman. Man, so close. Just take me through those last couple of restarts, Ryan.
Yeah, the cautions canceled each other out, it seemed like, because we had a position on him just like he did on us on that last restart. But, you know, just proud of these guys, this team effort, Shitty Coolers, Aggressive Hydraulics, Montrose Molders, and Capital Auto Group, everybody that supports this, and Joe Coulter Motorsports and Randy Renfro, everybody that's a part of this. This is all new for me. We 3rd last week, 2nd this week. Carson did a great job, and I told him that. I said, you did exactly what you're supposed to do. He said, sorry about running you up. I said, no, you can run me up. You had position. That's fine. He's a good kid doing a good job. So now we got to try to beat him again.
Okay, 3rd in the first race, 2nd in this one. What does that mean for South Boston then? What do you think?
Well, I mean, divide by 2, carry the 1, and multiply by the square root. We should be close.
You have an engineering degree from Purdue. You can do the math, absolutely. Ryan Newman, 2nd place here in the Warrior 100. Bobby Labonte, 3rd place here. Had a good race car. He didn't want to say what year he won the championship here years ago, but it was 1987 in the late model stock car. He's getting some of those tar pellets from the tires off of his chute here. But what do you think? 3rd place. You had a good view of what was going on in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, we were, practiced 3rd, qualified 3rd, and finished 3rd. So that was about all we had. And, just drive off, got a little something here and there. But, it was really good. I mean, these guys bringing 3 cars to the racetrack. I know I didn't get to run last weekend. So, that probably hurt me just for my mental state, thinking that, having a feel for it and not just getting a few laps of practice and qualifying. But guys did a great job. Our Pace-O-Matic cookout. I mean, coming down here at Caraway, it's a 30-minute drive home. So I probably beat most people. But, yeah, all in all, glad we got a top 3 out of it, and really happy for these guys. And we'll go to Richmond in a few weeks and run the tour race up there.
I want to ask you about this kid that just won his 2nd career race back-to-back in the Smart Series. What do you think of Carson Lofton?
Yeah, obviously we saw that last year, and fast. Actually, I guess it was a year before he kind of started a little bit towards the end. But yeah, I mean, obviously fast, and congratulations to those guys that worked real hard. And yeah, I mean, definitely fast little kid.
The next time we'll see Bobby Labonte back with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. We'll be at the Hickory 100 later on this spring. Celebration continues down in Pace-O-Matic Victory Lane. Look at proud dad behind his son taking pictures. And folks, we appreciate each and every one of you who have turned out today. Remember, we got some more racing coming up with the Carolina Crate Modified Series, the Pro Late Models, a couple of divisions here. Darren Hackett, thank you for hosting the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic at Caraway, the 77th edition for Smart here at Caraway. Next up, you'll see all the racing, not on Flow. You're going to see it on CarawaySpeedway.tv or Pit Row TV. So on behalf of everybody at the Smart Modified Tour, Chris Williams and all of his staff, as well as everybody from Pace-O-Matic, I'm Bob Dillner saying we'll see you at South Boston Speedway on Saturday, March 23rd for the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds, $20,000 to win. Thank you to Dominion Energy. We will see you at the home of the Bologna Burger.